Welcome, dear viewers, to a world where darkness and mysticism meet in the creepiest forms. Here, in this abandoned corner of the internet, we will delve into the darkest corners of the human imagination. Prepare for awe-inspiring horror, as each of our stories is imbued with sinister secrets that lurk in the darkness of the night. Scary stories that remain beyond your imagination are waiting for you on our channel. Don't forget to turn on the lights, get comfortable, and hold on tight, because now we are going into the world of nightmares. Are you ready for it? Then welcome to our scary story.
The air was thick with anticipation as the dimly lit hallway of Riverwood High School buzzed with the energy of teenagers eager for the weekend. In this typical American high school, the fluorescent lights flickered overhead, casting eerie shadows on the tiled floor. Lockers lined the walls, displaying a colorful collage of posters and flyers promoting various school events. At the heart of the excitement were a group of friends, Sarah, Mike, Lily, and Ben. They were bound by a shared curiosity about the supernatural, always seeking out the unknown. As the final school bell rang, signaling the start of the weekend, they gathered in their secret meeting spot, the school's old, disused basement. The basement was a realm of forgotten memories, with dusty shelves and discarded furniture strewn about. Among the debris, they discovered an ancient relic, an Ouija board. The board was weathered and worn, carrying an air of mystery that intrigued them. With trembling fingers, they traced the letters and numbers etched on its surface, recalling the stories they had heard about communicating with spirits. The group huddled together, their faces illuminated by the faint glow of a flashlight. Sarah, the natural leader of the group, spoke up. "I've read about this. They say the Ouija board can connect us with the spirit world. Should we give it a try?" Mike, always up for an adventure, chimed in. "Why not? It's just a game, right?" Lily, the cautious one, hesitated, but ultimately nodded. "Okay, but let's be careful and follow the instructions precisely." Ben, the skeptic of the group, shrugged. "Sure, let's see if anything happens." With a mix of excitement and apprehension, they sat in a circle around the Ouija board, their fingertips lightly resting on the planchette. The dim light in the basement seemed to flicker as if hesitant about what was to come. Sarah took a deep breath and began, "Is there anyone here with us? If there is, give us a sign." The group held their breath, their eyes fixed on the planchette. Slowly, it started to move, spelling out YES. A shiver ran down their spines as they exchanged startled glances. This was the moment when the mundane crossed into the extraordinary, and fear danced with curiosity. The unknown loomed before them, and they were on the precipice of uncovering secrets that should perhaps remain buried. With a newfound determination, they continued asking questions, their hearts pounding with a mix of dread and fascination. Little did they know that this simple act of curiosity had set off a chain of events they could never have anticipated. The shadows in the basement seemed to grow darker, and an unsettling chill filled the air, foreshadowing the horrors that were about to unfold. The days that followed their eerie encounter with the Ouija board were fraught with unease for Sarah, Mike, Lily, and Ben. What had started as a simple experiment had spiraled into something far more sinister, and the group couldn't shake the feeling that they had unleashed forces beyond their understanding. The first strange occurrence happened the morning after their Ouija board session. Sarah awoke to find her bedroom window wide open, despite being certain she had closed it the night before. She chalked it up to forgetfulness and moved to shut it, but as she did, she heard faint, unintelligible whispers carried on the wind. She dismissed it as a trick of her imagination, but a seed of doubt had been planted. Meanwhile, Mike noticed his belongings shifting inexplicably around his room. Books he had neatly stacked on his desk were scattered on the floor, and his desk chair seemed to have been dragged across the room while he slept. Fear crept into his mind as he wondered if they had truly made contact with a spirit. Lily, on the other hand, began experiencing vivid and terrifying nightmares. In these dreams, she was trapped in a dark, endless void, and disembodied voices whispered menacingly all around her. Each morning she would wake up drenched in sweat, her heart racing unable to shake the feeling that something malevolent lurked in the shadows. As for Ben, he had a particularly unnerving experience when he heard the distinct sound of footsteps echoing in his empty house late at night. He grabbed a baseball bat and cautiously explored the darkened rooms, finding nothing out of the ordinary. But the sense of dread that had taken hold of him was undeniable. Their discussions at school grew increasingly frantic as they tried to piece together the strange occurrences. Sarah, the group's voice of reason, suggested, "Maybe we're all just on edge after that Ouija board thing. Our minds might be playing tricks on us." Mike, his eyes filled with anxiety, replied, "I don't know, Sarah. This feels different, more real." Lily nodded in agreement. "I can't shake the feeling that we've invited something into our lives that we can't control." With each passing day, the inexplicable events escalated. Shadows seemed to dart around corners when no one was looking. Objects went missing only to reappear in bizarre places, and the whispering voices that haunted Lily's nightmares began to echo in their waking moments. One evening, as they gathered in Sarah's basement to discuss their growing fears, the lights flickered and dimmed, casting an eerie pallor over the room. Sarah tried to maintain her composure. "We need to figure out what's going on. Maybe we can find a way to reverse whatever we did with that Ouija board," Mike interjected. "But how do we even know what we're dealing with? It could be anything. Ghosts, spirits, demons." Their once playful curiosity had given way to a palpable sense of dread. They felt as though they were teetering on the edge of a nightmare from which they could not awaken. Days turned into restless nights, and the feeling of helplessness grew. They searched the internet for answers, consulted books on the paranormal, and even considered seeking the guidance of a local medium. But their attempts to understand and confront the growing menace were in vain. As the darkness closed in around them, their friendships began to fray. Fear and suspicion gnawed at their bonds, and they found themselves doubting each other's sanity and motives. The once innocent curiosity that had driven them to that Ouija board was now a monstrous presence in their lives. Their journey into the unknown had taken an ominous turn, and they were beginning to realize that some doors were never meant to be opened. The feeling of dread had solidified into something more insidious, and they were trapped in a web of terror with no apparent escape. As the sinister events continued to unfold, the group of friends found themselves delving deeper into the mysteries of the Ouija board, desperately seeking a way to stop the malevolent forces they had unwittingly unleashed. They gathered in Sarah's basement, surrounded by the eerie symbols and letters etched into the old board. "What if these symbols hold the key to what we've unleashed?" Mike wondered aloud, studying the Ouija board with furrowed brows. Lily nodded, her eyes fixed on the board. "It's as if each symbol is a doorway into another realm, but we have no idea how to close them." Ben, engrossed in deciphering the symbols, added, "We need to understand their meaning, their purpose. Only then can we figure out how to stop this." Their research led them to ancient texts and arcane writings, attempting to decode the symbols etched on their Ouija board. Slowly, they pieced together a narrative of a forgotten realm, a dimension where the laws of reality were distorted and spirits roamed free. "It's like we've merged two worlds," Sarah murmured, her face pale with realization. "Our actions in that seance opened a gateway between our world and theirs." Determined to rectify their mistake, they set out to gather evidence of the supernatural occurrences and the existence of this parallel realm. They documented strange happenings, objects moving without cause, eerie whispers that sent chills down their spines, and unexplained phenomena that defied logic. One night, as they explored an abandoned building believed to be a focal point of the disturbances, they stumbled upon an ancient sigil, similar to those on the Ouija board. The sigil pulsed ominously, and as they touched it, they were engulfed in a disorienting whirlwind. They found themselves in a twisted, nightmarish version of their town, where reality seemed to warp and shift. The boundaries between past and present blurred, and they were confronted with horrifying visions of tragic events from another time. Mike gasped, clutching his head. "This can't be real. It's like we're living through a different era's terrors. Lily, her voice quivering, said, "We must be experiencing the memories of this place, this other dimension. That's why it feels so real." As they struggled to comprehend what they were witnessing, they realized they were being tested by the malevolent forces that had been unleashed. The spirits seemed to revel in their torment, toying with them in a cruel game. Terrified but determined, they pressed on, using the knowledge they had gained to navigate the distorted reality and find a way back to their own world. They sought to uncover the secrets that could potentially seal the gateway between the dimensions. Days turned into a nightmarish blur as they continued their battle against the relentless spirits. The barriers between their world and the otherworldly dimension grew thinner, and they found themselves being pulled deeper into a twisted reality. In a climactic confrontation, they finally discovered a way to close the gateway. With trembling hands and hearts filled with dread, they performed a ritual to undo the damage they had wrought. As the ritual reached its peak, the world around them seemed to tremble and distort. Time hung suspended for a breathless moment before snapping back into place. They found themselves back in the basement, the Ouija board inert and lifeless. The malevolent presence had dissipated, but the scars of their harrowing experience remained. They had glimpsed the abyss, confronted their fears, and emerged forever changed. The Ouija board was buried deep in the basement, a reminder of the horrors they had faced. Though they had closed the gateway, the echoes of that fateful night would forever resonate in their hearts, a haunting reminder of the thin veil that separates our world from the unknown, and the consequences of tampering with forces beyond our comprehension. The relentless onslaught of terror had brought Sarah, Mike, Lily, and Ben to the brink of their sanity. As the malevolent forces unleashed by their ill-fated experiment escalated, their once curious minds were now consumed by a primal instinct: survival. The boundaries between worlds continued to blur, and their lives had devolved into a never-ending nightmare. Whispers of dread followed them wherever they went, and their very existence felt like a fragile thread in a tapestry of darkness. One chilling night, they found themselves trapped in a desolate, shadowy realm that bore no resemblance to their own world. Grotesque apparitions loomed in the periphery of their vision, and a sense of foreboding hung heavy in the air. They were no longer observers, but unwilling participants in a macabre theater of horrors. Sarah, her voice shaking with fear, whispered, "We can't go on like this. We have to find a way to end this nightmare." Mike, his eyes filled with desperation, agreed. "We need to confront whatever is causing this. We can't keep running." Their resolve solidified. They embarked on a treacherous journey through the nightmarish landscape, battling malevolent spirits and spectral entities that sought to drag them into the abyss. Each step brought them closer to the source of the haunting, the heart of the darkness. As they delved deeper into this twisted dimension, they discovered a chamber shrouded in darkness. At its center lay the Ouija board, pulsating with an unholy energy. It was the epicenter of their torment, the bridge that connected their world with the realm of the supernatural. Lily, her voice trembling, said, "That board is the key to all of this. We need to destroy it." With grim determination, they approached the Ouija board, but it resisted their attempts to break it. It seemed to possess a malevolent intelligence of its own, defending itself against their efforts. Ben, his frustration mounting, muttered, "We have to figure out how to sever the connection. There must be a way." In the ensuing struggle, they deciphered a final enigmatic symbol on the board, hidden in plain sight all along. With a collective gasp, they realized that this symbol held the power to sever the link between the dimensions. Summoning every ounce of courage they had left, they etched the symbol onto the Ouija board. A surge of unearthly energy coursed through them, and the room convulsed with a deafening roar. It was a cataclysmic battle between the forces of good and evil, and they were at the center of it. As the ritual reached its climax, the Ouija board shattered into pieces, and the supernatural torment that had plagued them for so long began to dissipate. They were plunged into darkness, and for a moment, they feared they had been consumed by the abyss. Slowly, they began to regain consciousness, finding themselves back in Sarah's basement. The Ouija board lay in ruins, and a heavy silence hung in the air. They had succeeded in severing the connection, but the cost of their victory became painfully clear. Their memories were fractured, their minds scarred by the horrors they had witnessed. They had glimpsed the true source of the malevolent force, an ancient, vengeful spirit imprisoned within the Ouija board, fueled by their own curiosity and fear. Sarah, her voice trembling, said, "We did it. We stopped it." But the relief was short-lived as the harsh reality set in. They had paid a price beyond their worst nightmares. Their lives had been forever altered, and the scars of their ordeal would haunt them for the rest of their days. In the end, they had closed the gateway between worlds, but they had also closed the door to their innocence, forever changed by the darkness they had unleashed. The Ouija board, now a shattered relic, served as a chilling reminder of the consequences of meddling with the unknown. As they emerged from the abyss of horror, they were left with a profound and chilling realization. The true horror was not in the malevolent spirits they had encountered, but in the darkness that resided within themselves. And the price they had paid for their curiosity would haunt them until the end of their days.